I'm Lisa Pickering, and welcome to CITV's Press Talk. Here's the most recent news and information from the government of Bermuda.
Good morning. First, I would like to thank the U.S. Consulate and Consul General Mary Ellen Koenig for the opportunity given to Bermuda to participate in a multi-regional exchange program on disability rights. Bermuda's coordinator of the Department of Court Services, Mrs. Kelly Madeiros, who helped develop the Mental Health Treatment Court Pilot Initiative, was selected to participate. For that, we are very grateful and would like to congratulate Mrs. Madeiros on being chosen. Her 3-week exchange and learning opportunity on disability rights will serve her, and indeed Bermuda, well as we continue to work to improve the lives of persons with disabilities. In recognizing that Bermuda needed extra services for people with disabilities, as well as our seniors, last year the Bermuda Government National Office for Seniors and the Physically Challenged was formally renamed Aging and Disability Services. The Aging and Disability Services offices provide services to all persons with disabilities, not just those with physical challenges, and we remain committed to ensuring that they receive the best attention that their interests and issues demand. Aging and Disability Services also provides advice and guidance on best practices for accessibility to both public and private sectors, and they will continue to move towards its vision of a caring and inclusive Bermuda that supports the well-being of all persons with disabilities. Just last week, in the House of Assembly, amendments aimed at prohibiting discrimination on the grounds of mental illness was roundly supported. The primary purpose of the Human Rights Amendment Act No. 2, 2016 is to protect those who suffer from mental illness from discrimination by changing the definition of disability to include mental disability. Bermuda is making progress, and the Bermuda government will continue our efforts to implement programs aimed at access for the disabled. Mrs. Madeiros' experience will be very helpful in ensuring that our strategy is reflective of the needs of our community as well as international standards and best practice. Today, we have come to share Mrs. Madeiros' observations from her experience. I'm looking forward to hearing her presentation. And again, on behalf of the government of Bermuda, we would like to thank the United States government for affording her this wonderful opportunity. We will all benefit and continue to champion the rights of persons with disabilities in our communities. Thank you very much, and I would now like to introduce the U.S. Consulate and hear from
Thank you very much,
her.
Minister. Thank you for hosting us here today. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the program, and then we're going to hear from Kelly Madeiros about the actual specific program that she participated in. But the International Visitor Leadership Program is over 75 years old. Last year it celebrated its 75th anniversary. And we send people from around the world to the United States to interact with their peers in different topics, and different experts are selected to go. So it's a very competitive process. So we're really pleased that Kelly was selected through the process to represent Bermuda. She's our first IVLP from Bermuda, so we're very proud of that fact. And congratulate you on that, Kelly. But the program basically, we see it as a way of promoting dialogue, promoting mutual understanding. So in Kelly's program, which she'll speak about, experts from around the world in disability rights and disability programs were selected from around the world and went to the United States for a 3-week program to interact with their American peers. So not only was Kelly able to talk to people from around the world who are working in the same field, the whole group was able to talk to their American peers about the issues that they're all dealing with, the challenges that we all face, all countries face. And the idea is to promote, it's really a two-way street. American experts benefit from having these international experts come to the United States, and the international experts get exposed not only to each other, but to the American side of life as well. These programs can cover any number of topics: environmental issues, legal issues, in this case disability rights. Some are for youth leaders. So the programs are quite varied. We send about 4,500 IVs, we call them IVs, a year. And again, it's a competitive process that we nominate people. And we're very hopeful that this is the first of our IVs from Bermuda, but not the last, and we're actively working to get more going in the next year or so. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly to talk, but before we do that, I'd like to present a certificate. Maybe we can move over here with the minister. So this is to certify that Kelly, here, let's get Kelly in the middle here. Yeah, okay, yeah, great. This is to certify that Kelly Madeiros participated in the International Visitor Leadership Program on Access for All, enhancing the lives of people with disabilities. Thank you.
Good.
First of all, I want to thank the U.S. Department of State and all the agencies that participated in this program. Also, the Bermuda U.S. Embassy. Very honored to have been selected to represent Bermuda. I need to recognize Lisa Reed, who nominated me for the program, and of course the Bermuda government for the support in being able to attend this program. I had the privilege of traveling across 4 states with 20 people from all over the world. Not only did we get to meet leaders of disability rights from all over the United States, but also got to work with disability leaders from all over the world. Throughout the 3-week travels, we learned about the hard work, the civil unrest, the dedication and determination of people who would not be quiet until the rights of people with disabilities were heard and protected under the now 26-year-old America with Disability Act. This act has changed the lives for many, but there's still more work to do. During our visit to the University of California, the director of Disabled Student Program described disability as normal. He reminded us that within our lifetime, we can acquire a disability. 20% of the world population identify as having a disability. In the US, the data would suggest that 70% of people with disabilities are either unemployed or underemployed. He described employment as the truest measure of equality. The US have embraced the principles of universal design. These are changes that benefit all people. From building modification to roadside curbs, these principles benefit people from stroller users, to people with mobility issues, to children who have adult attention deficit disorder, to people who might have vision impairments. These are just to name a few. One of the most popular messages we received from the disability leaders is that civil society is an important role to play in advocating for the rights of people with disabilities. They encouraged us to bring our community together to ensure people with disabilities have equal accessibility. We need to come together to advocate and demand the rights of people with disabilities are protected and that principles of universal design are embraced. It is critical that laws are implemented and enforced to ensure that people with disabilities are not being discriminated against and that there's an active body whose job is to enforce compliance with anti-discrimination laws. I've had the opportunity to briefly meet with the Minister of Health and the Permanent Secretary, and I look forward to working with them on strengthening the role of the Disability Advisory Council, implementing the National Policy on Disabilities, engaging the community and stakeholders, ensuring the necessary data is being collected to make sure we have the necessary resources, and on work on getting the Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities ratified, which is something the former Director of Disability Services, Mr. John Payne, was working on prior to his retirement. I look forward to working more closely with people who have identify as having a disability, or as Jessica Lewis would call it, someone who is differently abled, their families and stakeholders. I would be interested in meeting with anyone who wants to learn more about the program and what I learned on my experience. We need to break the myths and fears about people with disabilities, especially when it comes to employment. As my colleague Oleg from Russia would say, people with disabilities have extra abilities. These have been proven over and over to be assets in many different ways. Thank you.
Yes, when you went obviously as an expert in your own right when you went. Did you come back, you say humble, but did you come back with a wider perspective and a realization that perhaps we weren't as good at it as we thought we were?
I came back learning more about what we could do to improve and enhance the lives of people with disabilities. There are certain laws and treaties that may help people to have better access to things like reading materials who might be blind or vision impaired. So I think the program gave us exposure to different ways we can assist the already functioning programs in Bermuda and the already laws that might be in Bermuda, but how do we enforce these laws and make sure that the rights of people are not being discriminated against. So it was an exposure thing, and also being able to have access to the resources in the US, so when we do want to work on certain things, they were more than happy to connect with us and make sure that we're working in the right direction.
Is there one particular issue that you all talk about and know that that's any country that doesn't have that is failing?
Employment.
Employment.
I think every country of the 20, the main issue for everybody, one of those countries, was employment for people with disabilities. And what I learned over those 3 weeks is that people with disabilities, although are differently abled, are very able. And it would be great to have more exposure to people with disabilities and to be able to show that there are people with a lot of strengths.
You mentioned setting up an active body in Bermuda that would oversee this sort of thing. Is there any sort of timeline on that?
I think I learned about different ways that the different states would enforce. Each state had a different way of enforcing the anti-discrimination laws. So I think that's something that going forward, the minister and the PIAT we can speak more with. I know that the Human Rights Commission tried to do stuff. I know that Keith Simmons also goes around from the Aging and Disability Services to try and work with the community, the building community. But one of the main messages that the advocates that we got to meet with was that we need the laws to protect people, and we need the enforcement out there ensuring that people are adhering to those laws.
You've been watching Press Talk right here on CITV. Join us next time for your government's news and information. I'm Lisa Pickering.